Good evening, everybody. System Chalk here with the 63rd episode of House of Light, our first run on YouTube, playing as the archaeologist. I'm the librarian of Hush House, and this journal will record what arose from my crime and my curse. The archaeologist's dearest wish when they came to the house was to record a history where their crime could be forgiven or redefined, but you can complete the game by recording any history. You might wish to begin your studies with a Skolakosophy wisdom. I opened a tomb and found too late that it was a prison. The plague that I released is now my shadow, or perhaps I am its reflection. It is too late to set matters right, but it is never too late to protect the future from the past. In Hush House I can do no harm. Perhaps I can even make amends. Now, we've had enough time for me to get a sense of amnesia about the previous runs. There's a few, or the previous episodes. Now, there's a few things that I've sort of been, I don't want to say neglecting, but I definitely don't have as much progress as I would like. So a few examples of this. We have got 8 texts here, and then 3 more. So we've got 11 texts that I could presumably get the curses off of. We also have 3 texts in the chancel. So, you know, getting more text would not be a bad idea, although in practice, I also have a very large number to read through as well. We do have some leftover lessons. So I think when I take a look at my notes that I said here, one is get Cracktrack and level up Great Signs and Great Scars. So get Cracktrack and level it up using pentiments and precursors. Now that makes sense to me because we've already committed the pentiments and precursors. Serpents and Venoms, it looks like was just going to go straight to itself. It may be that I'm already using it for something. And then it looks like Lockworks and Clockworks was the open question. So maybe we'll worry about implementing the kind of the upgrades that I already have. I suppose the last question would be if so normally I want to have an occult scrap. I don't see one here. So presumably at this point we invite Lalachaima back. Okay. I'm reasonably happy with the game plan here. For what you might call an occult correspondence. Well, they come when you do call for them. I noticed that we're not sleeping on any memories, but then I can't take the sunny day with me, so I suspect that's just because I didn't have anything left over. We'll see what happens when the morning comes. But I think probably my best bet here, let's just worry about clearing out the memories first, and then we can think about the next step in terms of, you know, what kind of books or other upgrades I want to play with. So, I'm also just trying to think. Summer would be good for Gossip or Moth, but I don't really think we have much to go with on that. I'm also debating on whether or not it makes sense to wait for the weather. I think in this case, well, you know what? I'm probably going to hire Denzel no matter what. So I'm always welcome at Denzel's Smithy. Denzel rarely works for free, but he won't take payment for helping a friend. And it looks like I went a little too far with Crowcross Sands. That's a bit of a shame there. Especially because we only got sand as a result, but I'll learn to live with it. I suppose in the worst case scenario, I could drink a glass of water. Yeah, we've got something left over, and then we can, I'll use a core to bring it back. A quick nap in a warm bed with something comforting to drink while the winds chase the clouds and the clouds chase the sun. And looks like we also had the same happen with the Shapt, with the Great Signs and Great Scars, so that might be one that we pay up at the Sweet Bones for. It is summer. I'm sitting on the bench outside the Sweet Bones, eating crumbly cheese and nettle wrappings and good black rye bread, soaking up the sun. Okay. So now that I have the serpents and venoms, so that one's a bit of a no-brainer. I'm interested in the fact that I said Great Signs, Great Scars, level 6, because that's certainly not trivial for me to improve. In fact, it would not be a bad idea for me to just take a look at what resources I have available to level that. So we've got Salt here, which gives me knock. We have got Satisfaction, so that's 2. Yeah, Knock and Grail. Patterns is 3. Gossip is 4. Beguiling Melodies is 5. Okay, so with all of my elements of the soul, as long as I think probably just drinking a glass of water is actually the way to go on that one. But as long as I get a taste, I should be able to level that up. So I think probably the sensible path to take here I am also I'm kind of realizing that with the Bronze Spin Tree I don't have a whole lot of flexibility as far as buying books are concerned, although I think we may have already purchased one. I can't remember exactly where we are on the playthrough today. Okay. So I still want to get the Cracktrack because that that definitely unlocks more of the branches for me. So actually on that point we should be going to the post office immediately. Not quite. Stamp, envelope, send. So Serpents and Venoms is a moon and scale, so I don't need to worry about a whole lot of overlap. Let's say that Great Signs and Great Scars is something I will level up with Arab. And we'll level up Serpents and Venoms with Trist. So at Ava's desk, we know we can't get salt from Denzel, so we'll take it to a Pale Lady. I think we've probably read this a couple of times over, but I'll worry about the variety in a later. I think we're okay using Fett in this case. Just double checking that I'm not missing out on these things. Okay, let's do the other side of the serpent. Now, 3 flowers hath the tree is something that potentially I can get from Denzil, so we're not going to... Actually, that's also true of the satisfaction, so... Alright, well, you know what? If that's the case, I should probably just go all in. Let's use the... I think I'm actually going to use the Fost in this case, because... Well, Lockworks and Clockworks does have a sky side. No, I think I will still use the Fost, though. Okay, so not exactly how I plan to do this. Let's maybe set the metal aside. Do the intimations of the skin. I've already mastered this, but I could reread it and perhaps recall a memory. And then I guess we use the core to get the taste. Alright, a little bit of a weird start, but poured out. Drink the stuff. This will consume the beverage. If it's the whole bottle, consider serving it first so you don't drink the whole thing. Alright, so we'll serve another one of these. Alright. So ultimately I have fewer elements of the soul than I thought I could play around with. But it's not, this isn't a major issue. I do actually think putting the points into Great Signs and Great Scars is worth it. So let's catalog one of the books while I can. It did occur to me, though, I may have disqualified. Yeah, I'm going to have to wait on the categorization. Okay, that's fine. Did Father Stanislav receive my invitation? All right, Denzil rarely works for free, but he won't take payment for helping a friend. Denzil the blacksmith will lend me his strength for the day. So again, we're just using him for memories right now. Speak to Denzil, he might even reply. And the postmistress examines the letter and deems it sufficient. It'll go with the next post, she assures me. And finally, we've got leftover water here. I probably have more water than I really need, but it's nice for little cases like where I let the tryst go too long. So yeah, any moon or scale that I can get will automatically go into serpents and venoms. I don't think that's a major hardship for me to work out, but again, we need to get it from somewhere. The water of the isle has a very faint, very distinctive taste, sometimes described as apple shroomy. Okay, he does a lot with silence, this man. So a storm, that might actually be useful in informing Lockworks and Clockworks if I decide to go down that path. The real priority right now is the Great Signs and Great Scars, just because it's such a high-level memory for me. Okay, To a Pale Lady, a collection of Franklin Bancroft's letters to Ava de Wolf. There is a substantial body of erotic pleading and half-finished poetry, but also learned discussions on matters mythical and marine, as well as notes towards a comic opera on which Franklin and Ava were apparently collaborating. Do not return, O my light, to the sea. None of us can be what we were. That is history's curse. None of us know what we may be. That is history's gift. Your mothers, like the mothers of your mothers, are caught in eternity's jaws like a robe hem in a trap. It is the pearl that shines, but the tide that returns. I do apologize. I try not to get too distracted while writing these things, but the big news over the weekend has sort of come out, and so the tablet that I keep notes on is just spamming out the various alerts. a feature that I want. I mean, there's a reason why I get those alerts, but it is not convenient for broadcast, so I apologize. The Orchid Transfigurations, A Birth, the second volume of a compilation of quasi-Rosicrucian allegories, supposedly by Robert Flood. This is in the original Latin. Flood, or pseudo-Flood, suggests alignments between the alchemical tradition of Rubidoux and the older Grail traditions through the Pine Knight's quest for the Cinnabar Cup. Seek the cup in the birthing bed, the Pine Knight is told. The midwife at the birthing bed, to his amazement, is the Mountain Mother. In a fit of awe, he both gelds and flays himself. The vigilant storm bursts joyfully from the remains. Alright, better now. So I'm mildly tempted to just cycle through with this shaft for now, just because we don't have an immediate use for it. The Other Eye of the Serpent, in which the Hesiarch Signifer attempts to resolve certain mysteries of lightning. Signifer considers lightning to be the division, the connection, the joined serpent. The serpent's eye is said to be the sun, but as the division and connection, it must have a second eye. Signifer considers and rejects 3 times the hypothesis that the moon is the serpent's other eye, insisting that it and the sun do not share a nature. This, as much as the serpent business, is what got him burnt by the church. He proposes that the serpent's teeth are towers, that the serpent's mouth is a gate, that the serpent is the devourer of Ys, and therefore that the serpent's other eye is amber. In the Intimations of Skin, fiendishly complex, weirdly distorted illustrations of Congress and anatomy by the haunted visionary painter Niels Fredrik Malsker. Malsker illuminates the evolutions of the names of the Grail with unfortunate clarity. It seems that a lovely who consumes an ivory becomes an ivory, a lovely who consumes a thirstly becomes a thirstly, a lovely who consumes a name of another hour might take its place. In the penultimate illustration, a lovely grapples with a fungoid knot that can only be a name of the crowned growth. The lovely's mouth and other portals gape wide, and the growth name is already partially engulfed, but it seems that Malsker couldn't bring himself to illustrate the result, and the final illustration is only a scrawled, bloated obscurity. And 3 Flowers Hath the Tree, Ernestine Peterhans records her observations of the growths of trees and flowers around the isle, and the omens and portents she attempts to draw from them, particularly the yew tree in Earl Bryan's meadow, whose flowerings are sometimes eccentric. Ernestine observes that in years when the tree flowers black, troubling secrets arise, when it flowers red, war and fires follow, and that no de Wolf heir has ever been born in a year when it flowers white. Ernestine attempts to use the tree's growths to advantage in her business affairs, but it fails. She is evidently very concerned when Hendrik de Wolf's grandson Giles runs off with the pale trollop Hafren in a year when the tree flowers white. She begins to fear she has entirely misinterpreted all the relevant omens. She is deeply concerned for the continuation of the de Wolf line and prays for Giles' return. Alright, so we have all the pieces that we need to level up the skill. So we'll take Great Signs and Great Scars. I did one too many, so I didn't need to waste the water on that taste. Alright, lesson learned. What I might do here, let's take a quick look at the... Well, no, actually, the sensible thing is for me to take salt out, because then we can apply that towards the serpents and venoms. So, at last, I'm something of an authority in this. Of course, that means that my time with Denzel is a little wasted, but I can live with that. I guess we have the storm to show for it. Did Father Stanislav receive my invitation? He did indeed. Priest, diplomat, gardener, a soft-voiced man with a very steady gaze. Alright, he does a lot with silence, this man. I'm curious if I were to try and keep one of these overnight. I need Forge, Rose, Moth, and Heart, so it's still the Storm that I can only keep. I wonder if there's some sense in hanging on to the... I think we'll use the Fear. Seeing as that's something that Denzel may generate again. I also need to make a decision in terms of... I think I'll probably do the training with Stanislav. I think I'm going to do that training overnight. I don't know if there's a lot of value in using up the talk verb like this. Okay, the skill is now level 6. Its power aspects have also increased. So I've got a bit of a rearranging to do. Let's get that out of the way now. So we'll take Great Signs and Great Scars. We'll move the 3s down. I know I had some other arrangement, but... Okay, now Serpents and Venoms is going to be a 2, so we'll put that in place. I'll confess, I still haven't got a great idea about how I'm going to use Lockworks and Clockworks. I might consult my sheet. But we definitely can put up Serpents and Venoms. There's always more to learn. Improve this skill to level 2. This will increase its aspects, which will help with crafting and make it suitable for higher branches on the Tree of Wisdoms, if you haven't already committed it. So, technically, if I wanted to level Lockworks and Clockworks, I'd use these 3 memories. So you know what? I'm actually going to take a second here. Let's. I've got my Excel sheet that I was looking at. Oops, that's my food list. So Lockworks and Clockworks is Ithistry or Skolakosophy. So Ithistry gives Whist or Fost. Skolakosophy gives Shapt or Arab. And at the start of that one is Hyksos, if I remember. Actually, that one we can... Okay, actually that's good to know. So if we're already at a level 2, really I should be moving all the Skolakosophy stuff to level 3. Now that doesn't answer the immediate question, which is of these, of these skills, which of these do I want to move up? I noticed that there's a couple of lower level, like the Wolf Stories and so on. I suppose with that in mind, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to saying something like we put the Ragged Crossroads in position 3 and maybe we move Lockworks and Clockworks up to a level 4. Yeah, I am actually, the more I talk myself into this, the more I think probably leveling up Lockworks and Clockworks is acceptable. So I'll put it in the position. And if I change my mind, well, I always reserve the option to do that. Now that's going to need another shaft, but of course we're already working on cycling through that, so we'll be fine. So I think at this point here we can start using the Tryst for beachcombing. And in fact, normally we'd use the Serpent's Venoms at this point, but I suppose Strings and Songs? Wolf Stories? Wolf Stories has moons, so we'll do that. Next up, let's take our metal, and we will catalog another one of these books. This book was probably written around the time of Hush House's Solar Gothic period, roughly between the 1000s and 1500s. If I examine it, I can learn more about what knowledge it might contain. A little water splashes on the stones of the well to nourish the mosses there. We will precariously balance the water as we did before. Suppose it makes a little more sense if I order it this way. All right. So I suppose the original idea that I had about drawing up that water was to... Yeah, actually, you know what? We're early enough in the day that I think we can maybe just bring back the shap the old-fashioned way. A quick nap in a warm bed with something comforting to drink while the winds chase the clouds and the clouds chase the sun. So we'll hold off a little bit on the Lockworks and Clockworks. However, this does suggest to me that maybe we talk with Father Stanislav John Schaller a little bit earlier. I'm really on the fence about that. seeing as I can technically get some more memories that would let me do more with... You know what? I'll do one more of these. So this lets me level up... oh, yeah. Well, that would assume that I have Schaller's Cracktrack. I was thinking this would be good for leveling up Cracktrack, except that unless I get that language really quick, it's not going to make a difference. Okay, The Raptures of Forculus, the first volume in Abbot Jeffrey's Hypothetical Theological Debates in the Socratic Mode. Yet another great signs and great scars. I mean, hard to argue. It's nice to have such a high level of Grail and Knock, but it's not really what I need right now. Okay, the skill is now level 2. Its power aspects have also increased. And we will... So right now I don't have the Shapt to level all of these up. All right, I think I am going to talk to Schaller today. I think it might be a little too late to try and level up the Cracktrack, but let's give it a shot. Okay, Foresight's not too bad. So thank you, Denzel. Conversation with Father Stanislav. Bless you and bless the house you serve. If there is an incident active, you can discuss it, or just leave the slot empty and offer a consultation. Tutoring Cracktrack. My visitor can teach me the rudiments of this primal language that we rather underwhelmingly call Cracktrack, because there is no name for that language in that language. After tutoring you, the visitor will leave, even if they arrived on other business. As I used to say in my youth, the day is done and so am I, but I've earned my pay. It is summer. I'm sitting outside the bench. Sitting on the bench outside the Sweet Bones, eating crumbly cheese and nettle wrappings and good black rye bread, soaking up the sun. Okay, so when I take a look at our stores right now, it looks like we can do with another Catwink. I don't see a situation in which we need to use my Tryst today, so we will... what am I doing? I need to use the reading room desk. So we'll apply that. We will apply Edicts Inviolable. We will level up, or not level up, we will use the Lunar Globe. There we go. There's Ink for our next round. And yeah, really at this point we're just waiting for the shop to come back. I'll confess I'll be a little surprised if the combination of Hindsight and Cracktrack works out. I'll maybe leave the health aside to give me flexibility on that. But I'll be delighted if it does. What might be a good idea too, after I cycle through, I'll use... Oh, no, actually the timing's not going to work here. I was thinking that I could restore a metal and apply that towards cataloging another book. Well, we might still be able to get away with it, actually. Sea-strewn, salt-snared stuff. A vase of rushes, a subtle ornament. I wonder if we have any... Actually, there was one thing that I wanted to do. I was thinking of this when I played on stream the other day. So there's a description of the librarians in this room. Now, I think we've already got the information, but the librarians' quarters. When the Curia of the Isle acquired the deed to the abandoned De Wolf estate, Ambrose Westcott became the first librarian and had this cozy nook constructed above the north wing to fit his preferences. His successor, Kitty, preferred the room next door. She lamented that the reek of Westcott's pipe remained long after his death, and her successor, Solomon Husher, preferred the long tower for his own chilly reasons. But most librarians have enjoyed the peace and the sea view. So here we've got Ambrose, Kitty, and Solomon. We've got the fourth librarian of the Curia of the Isle. So Husher walks away in the middle of or I guess just before, or no, during a snowstorm. Anyways, he vanishes. I think we get that from the Solomon's Preparation, which I don't seem to have currently. And I don't believe the game has specifically told us who his successor was. So we've got Natalia Brulot here. Now, I will confess, I'm a little surprised that we don't know Natalia's time as a librarian based on the information we have. So in baronial times, this was a ballroom, but in the 19th century, during Brulot's time as librarian, a dyad of eternally dueling edgelong agreed to stay at Hush House for a year and a day to allow Natalia to study them, if she satisfied certain conditions. A properly equipped space was one of those conditions. Ultimately, the business turned out to be a trap or a trick played by one or both of the dyad, and they left after only a single battle. Their names are recorded as Mistress Dearday and Father Torg. One of the things that's kind of interesting to me is I remember the niche for the fourth. Now, this one is actually pretty straightforward if you know this quote. But I believe the fourth niche is one that I've only ever gotten by examining the bust. I think Brulot is also mentioned in the Night Gallery. So in the 1850s, in deep secrecy, Natalia Brulot built the Night Gallery into the foundations of the Gullscry Tower. Behind this heavy steel door, the Curia, and later the Suppression Bureau, kept treasures too difficult for common view, but too relevant to consign to a deeper vault. If anything difficult might hypothetically have been inclined to creep up the stairs from below, it would have been discouraged by that door. So that's one, again, where we don't actually get a clear idea of where Natalia fits in the grand scheme of things. So I'm just taking a minute here to see if I'm missing any of the obvious steps. We know Thirza Blake was 7th. Okay. I think it's, if I recall correctly, Brulot's position I actually got from reading a book. Actually, it's not even reading the book, it was the description of one of the books. But we also don't need to rush on this stuff. I was mostly curious if I could free up a table to put the plant on. But what I will settle for is decoration in the garden. Weird choice, but... Okay, rest. I deserved a little quiet time. So we've got 2 minutes before the Cracktrack comes. So I am going to level up Lockworks and Clockworks now. This is a little inconsistent from my intended strategy, which is to sort of keep things at a floor and commit them as needed, but I do have sort of an out in the sense that I believe with Ragged Crossroads, if there was something unique that Lockworks and Clockworks got me, I could deploy Ragged Crossroads and then Lockworks and Clockworks. It's actually not clear to me that that's what would happen. But it just helps, it helps clear things out. I should probably figure out what I want to do with the health, but... Okay, you know what, we're at the end of our time, so I think I'm going to leave it here. I mean, intermediate, or not even intermediate, the short-term goals here, I think probably will... I might sit on the shaft first. I'll restore the metal, and then that will let me use the metal to catalog another book. And then I can use the shaft to earn some maybe replacement money. I don't know. It's not exciting to use the shaft to earn money, but in this case, I think it's a little more justified. And we may be down the health by the end of the day for tomorrow in game, but I think being able to boost up Cracktrack is worth it. After that, we'll probably start making some decisions in terms of either books to read or some rooms to try and unlock. But all of that will happen later on in the week. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you Wednesday for the next episode. Until then, take care.